So what is pattern? What do we mean by finding pattern in a dataset? Or what type of form it can take? In simple word, a pattern means basically a mathematical equation that can map x or an input variable with y or the output variable. Sometimes we call x instead of input variable, we call independent or explanatory variable. Similarly, sometimes instead of calling y as output variable, we call it dependent or response variable. So pattern means we have to find a mathematical equation that can basically map this x and y. So let us try to understand it with a very simple example. Let us focus on the table in the left hand side of this slide here. So here you can see some data points. For value of x equals 10, value of y is 30. For input 15, the value of output is 18. For 34, it is 37. So can you find the equation which can map x to y? Well, of course, it's a very easy job, right? If you notice minutely that you will see that y can be written as x equals x plus 3. Now take another example in the right hand side table of the slide. Here also we have several x input and y output. Can you find the pattern in this data set? Well, if you notice minutely, this is also a very easy job and you can easily map x with y by using this equation, that is y equals x square. Like 11 square is 121, 20 square is 400 and 25 square is 625. So it is very easy pattern finding job, right? How about this data set? A little bit more complex. So let us focus on this left hand side table. Here also I have some value like for x like 10, 15 and 34, whereas the value of corresponding value of y is minus 12.22, minus 9.44 and 1.11. Can you find the pattern in this data set? Well, little bit hard, right? But well, if you notice minutely, it's not that hard, because if you notice minutely, you will see that x is nothing but the Fahrenheit scale temperature, whereas y is the equivalent Celsius scale temperature, and they are related using this equation. So, all right. So far, whatever data set we have discussed, they all have only one input column. Now, the data set can have more than one input column also. For example, just focus on the table in the right hand side of the slide here. Here, there are two different inputs, x1 and x2. x1 has values 10, 15 and 34, whereas x2 has values 15, 43 and 37. And now the job is to create a function or create an equation involving both input like x1 and x2 so that you can map it with the response variable y. So what is the function? Well, this is also not very hard. If you notice minutely, you will see that the equation will be something like this. So here it is y equals x1 plus x2 square. And this is the pattern in this data. So well, these are some of the easy job which you can do easily just by seeing the data. But what if the data set grows in size like this? For example, like instead of only x1 and x2, Now there are almost 1,000 different input variables, and instead of only 3 or 4 data members, there are, let's say, 1 million data point over here. So that's very complicated job, right? So now, is it possible for a human brain to find the pattern or the equation that can map x1, x2 up to x,000 to y? Well, this is very hard, and human brain cannot find the pattern in this type of complex data set. So at this point of time, we need to rely on machine, and specifically on machine learning tools.